Hello. We are the station you've been waiting for.
INIOLUWA 0.
A beautiful morning to you. You're welcome to another edition of In the Papers, a program where we present and discuss major headlines from newspapers within and outside Nigeria. I am INIOLUWA ADEKOYA, and with me is
ALAWAYE.
This morning I will be reviewing newspapers from the Hope newspaper, the Punch newspaper and the Nation newspaper, while my colleague will take us through headlines from.
We have the Daily Post newspaper, the Punch newspaper and the Nation newspaper as well.
We will take a short break. When we return, we will go straight into our first set of headlines. What's that sound? Glad to have you back. And now we proceed into our first set of headlines, beginning from the Hope newspaper. Ondo constitutes task force to arrest truant students.
Moving straight away to the Punch newspaper, where we have Pegasus no paying rejects government plan to sell assets.
Still on the Hope newspaper, CAC to deploy AI to clear 7,000 application backlogs.
Moving straight away to the Daily Post newspaper, where I have Ekiti 2026. I am confident in APC election committee, says Governor Oyebanji.
I take a flight to the Punch newspaper. Ekiti government approves 596 million naira car housing loan for teachers.
Moving straight away to the Punch newspaper as well, where we have a university strike. Sano Nasu extend ultimatum.
Still on the Punch newspaper, join army to serve Nigeria. Osun APC governor aspirants urges youths.
Moving straight away to the Nation newspaper, where we have Ogun Fort Daniel 260-meter road project design.
And now on to the Punch newspaper. Olubadan coronation, Oyo announces road closure.
Let me join you shortly on the Punch newspaper as well. We have CBN court interest rates, OPS 6 further credit relief.
Back to the Hope newspaper. Natasha resumes after suspension.
Still on the Punch newspaper, Magudu honored by Ballon d'Or nomination, credits Falcon.
And on the Punch newspaper, INEC publishes final list of 17 candidates for FCT Council poll.
Still sailing through the Daily Post newspaper, where we have this new coming from Plateau State. We have governments now give terrorist bandits celebrity treatment, says Dalong.
Still on the Punch newspaper, CBN reduces interest rate to 27%, first court since 2020.
Still on the Daily Post newspaper, we have 2027 NNPP clarifies Kwa Council stance on defecting to APC.
Still talking 2027 on the Punch newspaper. Rep urge Atiku Obi to step down for Tinubu.
Still on the Punch newspaper as well, we have Nigerians revenue soar 411%, but borrowing continues, says FIRS.
Still on the Punch newspaper, federal government's JV stake sale could bankrupt NNPCL, Pengassan, New Peng won.
And lastly, from my side, we have another story coming from the Nation newspaper where I want to succeed Governor Abiodun, says Amuson.
And with that, we will take a short break. When we return, we will bring you news making headlines in the papers. Don't go anywhere. I have, yeah, first one. Yes, glad to have you back. You're still on to In the Papers, coming to you from iPower 102.7 FM. Beginning from the Old newspaper with this headline: Ondo constitutes task force to arrest truant students. And now the details. The Ondo state government has warned students against roaming the streets during school hours. The Ondo Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Igbekele Ajibefun, gave the warning in an interview with the news agencies of Nigeria. Ajibefun disclosed that any student caught roaming the streets during school hours would be apprehended and face the necessary sanctions. He explained that a task force was being constituted in each of the 3 senatorial districts in the state to monitor and apprehend any students found roaming the streets during school hours. Ajibefun said aside from apprehending any erring students, the head of concerned schools would be sanctioned for not enforcing discipline in the school. For more details on that story, see the Old newspaper with the headline, Ondo constitutes task force to arrest truant students.
And now let me read the story coming from the Punch newspaper where we have Pegasin Nopeng rejects government's plan to sell assets. Now to the story, we have 2 of Nigeria's influential oil sector union have strongly opposed the federal government's reported plan to divest significant stakes in joint venture assets managed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria and the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers on Tuesday warned that such move could destabilize the economy, weaken the oil industry, and jeopardize the welfare of workers. At a joint press briefing in Abuja, Pegasan President Festus Oshifo and his European counterpart Williams Akporia rejected the proposal to cut government stakes in GV assets by as much as 30 to 35%. Currently, the federal government holds between 55 and 60% of such assets through NNPCL. According to the union, the planned sales would generate quick cash, but at an expense of Nigerians' long-term economic security. They caution that reducing government holding in crucial oil assets could bankrupt NNPC, impairing its ability to meet obligations such as salaries and welfare package, and shrink its contribution to the national budget. They said, and I quote, "The government wants to reduce its stake in these assets. In some cases, they are thinking of selling up to 35%, but we say no. You cannot mortgage the future of Nigerians for temporary gain," or Shifo declared. The controversy followed the President Bola Tinubu directive last month for a reassessment of the NNPC 30% management fee and 30% frontier exploration deduction under the Petroleum Industry Act. For more detail of this story, check the Punch newspaper with the headline, Pegasan Nopeng reject government's plan to sell assets.
Now I take a flight to join you on the Punch newspaper. Ekiti government approves 596 million naira car housing loan for teachers. And now the details. Ekiti State Governor Biodun Oyebanji has approved the disbursement of 596.6 million naira as car and housing loan to 807 teaching and non-teaching staff in the public secondary schools in the state. The Permanent Secretary, Ekiti State Teaching Service Commission, Michael Boluwade, in a statement in Ado-Ekiti recently, said it was part of efforts to improve the beneficiary welfare and boost their morale. The Permanent Secretary appreciated the Governor, Oyebanji, for approving additional funds to complement the revolving funds of the Commission Loans Board in effecting the new rate of disbursement. He advised the beneficiaries to use the money for the purposes they were meant for, reminding them that they would pay the money back through direction deductions from their monthly salaries. Others he listed included infrastructure upgrade, capacity development programs, approval and payment of minimum wage, among others. For more details on that story, the Punch newspaper has it with the headline, Ekiti Governor approves 596 million naira car housing loan for teachers.
Still talking about Ekiti from the Daily Post newspaper, we have I have confidence in APC. Election committee says Governor Oyebanji. Now to the detail of the story. Ekiti State Governor Biodun Oyebanji on Tuesday restated his confidence in the leadership of the All Progressive Congress APC to make a success of the party governorship primaries, which will lead to a victory at the 2026 election. The governor also restated his preparedness to clinch the Guba tickets in the October 27 primary election of the party. Governor Oyebanji disclosed this while speaking to newsmen shortly after he appeared before the APC screening committee headed by Tunji Olawi in Abuja. Oyebanji, who was the first to participate in the screening exercise, arrived at the venue around 10 a.m. and was ushered in to the conference room where his credentials were screened by member of the panel. The screening session lasted about 15 minutes behind closed door. Speaking with newsmen shortly after, the governor commended the leadership of the party for the arrangement which, according to him, is part of the procedure for the forthcoming primary. He expressed confidence in the ability of the screening committee to deliver a credible process and result. For more detail of the story, check the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Ekiti 2026. I have confidence in APC election committee, says Governor Oyebanji.
Still on the Punch newspaper on my end, join army to serve Nigeria, Osun APC governor aspirants urges youth. And now the details. Aspirant in the 2026 Osun State governorship election under the All Progressive Congress, Dideolu Falobi has urged Nigerians youth in the state to take advantage of the Nigerian Army forthcoming 90 regular recruitment intake as a way to serve the country and secure their future. In a statement issued recently, Falobi urged Osun youths to see enlistment not merely as a job but as a noble calling. He explained that online registration for the 90 regular recruitment intake would open on September 29, 2025, and encouraged young men and women to seize the opportunity. Highlighting the benefits of military service, Falobi said joining the army would give Osun youths a sense of purpose and discipline alongside tangible rewards. Falobi, a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, the Chartered Institute of Directors, and the Nigerian Institute of Safety Engineers, is a well-known public safety advocate and technocrat. According to him, channeling Osun's vibrant youth energy into the Nigerian army would have been a multiplier effect on peace and development in the state. For more details on that story, the Punch newspaper has it with the headline, Join the Army to Serve Nigeria, Osun APC Governor Aspirant Urges Youths.
Still taking story from the Punch newspaper as well. We're talking about strike now. Sano Nasu extend ultimatum. Now to the detail of the story. The Joint Action Committee of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian University and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities and Allied Institutions has extended the strike ultimatum issued to the government by 2 weeks. Recall that both unions earlier gave the federal government a 7-day ultimatum over unresolved welfare issue, warning of looming nationwide strike. In a joint letter signed by SANO President Muhammad Ibrahim and the union decried the unjust disbursement of the end allowances to the staff of universities, non-payment of outstanding allowances, among others. Ibrahim recalled that the Joint Action Committee of NASU and SANO had, in a letter dated June 18, 2025, drawn the attention of the government to unresolved labor matters. The letter noted led to the meeting with the minister on July 4, 2024. If a fresh letter addressed to chapter of the union nationwide on Tuesday, the leadership of the union noted that the decision to extend the ultimatum followed a meeting with the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Education, Abel Enito, on Friday, September 19, 2025. He said, and I quote, the leadership of Jack of Nasu and Sanon, arising from a meeting held on Monday, 22nd of September 2025, decided to keep you updated on the current status of our agitation forwarded for the resolution to the federal government. You will recall that our last correspondence we intimidated to you about our letter addressed to the Minister of Education calling for urgent intervention in outstanding labor matters affecting NASU and SANO members in the universities and inter-university centers by giving the government an ultimatum of 7 days, failing which members will embark on a series of legitimate industrial actions. For more detail of this story, check the Punch newspaper with the headline, University Strike. Sano Nasu gave the federal government another ultimatum.
So on the Punch newspaper, talking Olubadan coronation, Oyo announces road closure. And now the details. The organizing committee inaugurated by the Oyo state government to oversee the coronation of the former governor of the state as new Olubadan of Ibadan land, Oba Rashidi Ladoja, announced the closing of some routes leading to the ancient Mapo Hall. A statement issued by the committee recently stated that the affected routes include Bere Junction in Ward Mapo Hall, Bon Photo Junction in Ward Ojaba, Idiarere Junction in Ward Ojaba, and Itameri Junction in Ward Mapo Hall shall be shut by 7 a.m. on Friday. According to the statement, the Security Committee, which is under the General Committee, chaired by the former Central Council of Ibadan Indigenes, President Bayo Oyero, informed the traffic diversion on the route were occasioned by the current President Bola Tinubu, who promised to attend the coronation ceremony of the new Olubadan. It was explained that it had provided 3 official designated parks in Ibadan, namely the Ibadan North Local Government Area Car Park in front of the Immigration Office, Agodi. The second car park is located at the football field beside Yemetu Police Station, while the third park is at Liberty Stadium, Okeado. The committee added that buses would be provided to convey well wishes with valid invitation cards to the Mapo Hall. For more details on that story, check the Punch newspaper with the headline, Oyo announces road closures amidst Olubadan's coronation.
And if you're just joining, you are listening to In the Papers on iPower 102.7 FM, a newspaper review program where we bring to you the daily issues, the daily happening around Nigeria and beyond. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll give you detail of the further story and more.
Ready, ba?
If you're just joining, you are on to In the Papers, a newspaper review program on iPower 102.7 FM, Emurele, Owo, Ondo State. You can connect with us via our YouTube by searching for iPower 102.7 FM or connect with us via our studio line on 081 for your perspective or your opinion on the headline on the stories read so far. Moving on with another story coming from the Daily Post newspaper, where I have government now give terrorist bandits celebrity treatment, says Dalong. Now to the detail of the story. Former Minister of Sport Solomon Dalong has accused the federal government of giving the celebrity treatment to the terrorists and bandits across Nigeria. For more details of the story, check the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Government now gives terrorist bandit celebrity treatment, says Dalong.
Still on the Old newspaper, CAC to deploy AI to clear 7,000 application backlogs. And now the detail. The Corporation Affairs Commission has said it will deploy an artificial intelligence agent to clear the backlog of about 7,000 companies' registration application and reduce delays in service delivery. Registrar General of CAC, Usaini Magaji, announced the move at a stakeholder forum in Kano recently. In a statement posted on the CAC social media handle and cited by journalists on recently, Magaji described the AI upgrade as computer overhaul of the Commission's existing company registration portal. He said the system was launched in June and is designed to speed up compliance registry and customer service tasks with great accuracy. Magaji outlined several features of the new portal, including instant name approvals, automatic suggestions for alternative names when preferred options are unavailable. According to the registrar, name reservation under the new system is now as simple as opening an email account, noting that the use of AI enables seamless suggestions and approval in real time. The CAC said the AI initiative aims to modernize company registration and accelerate approvals, part of the broader efforts to make it easier to do business in Nigeria. For more details of that story, see the Herb newspaper with the headline CAC to deploy AI to clear 7,000 application backlogs.
Away from that to the Nation newspaper, where we have Ogun Fort Daniels 260-meter road project design. Now to the detail of the story. Ogun State government has directed Minim and Tonye Nigerian Limited, the contractor handling Senator Benga Daniels constituency project on Padin Arikawe and Oye Ibimo Road in Shagamu, Ogun State, to revise the engineering design substantially and ensure transparency in all submissions to the state government. This development comes after the contractor on Monday submitted a bill of quantities to the state government days after violating regulation by beginning work on the state road without approval and subsequently being directed to follow due processes. According to the state government, the design submitted by the contractor is not acceptable for new as it falls below specification. The government conveyed this decision through a letter dated September 22, 2025, signed by the Permanent Secretary Minister of Work, Dr. Yusuf AIO, and addressed to the Managing Director of the company. In a letter signed by Ogun State Ministry of Work, observed that whereas the total length of the road is questioned is 3 kilometers, the contractor failed to specify the portion of the road the 260-meter approved for the construction will cover. Available records show that Daniel's proposed 3-kilometer project road is divided into 4 phases, out of which approval has been granted only for the first phase covering 260 meters. For more detail of the story, check the Nation newspaper with the headline Ogun Fort Daniels 260-meter road project design.
Back to the old newspaper, now talking Senate. Natasha resumes after suspension. And now the details. The senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Iduagan, resumed her legislative duties recently, shortly after regaining access to her office at the National Assembly. Her return followed the unsealing of her office located in Suite 2.05 of the Senate wing by the Deputy Director of the National Assembly, Sergeant at Arms Alabi Adedeji. Upon resumption, Senator Natasha, who has been on suspension, remained resolute, insisting she has no apology to tender. The embattled lawmaker was handed a 6-month suspension in March, barring her from activities of the 10th Senate over alleged misconduct during a protest against the reassignment of a seat by Senate President Godswill Akpabio on February 20th. Although a suspension formally lapsed in September, she was unable to return due to legal tussles and resistance from Senate leadership. On July 4th, however, the Federal High Court in Abuja ruled that the suspension was excessive and unconstitutional. For more detail on that story, see the Oak newspaper with the headline Senate Natasha resumes after suspension.
Away from the Oak newspaper, moving straight away to the Punch newspaper, where we have CBN lowers interest rate, OPS demand credit relief. Now to the detail of the story. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria has reduced country's benchmark interest rates to 27%, the first cut in 2025, after 3 consecutive pauses, signaling a shift in policy towards supporting economic recovery. While welcoming the move, the members of the organized private sector argued that the reduction remained marginal and insufficient to ease the credit squeeze on manufacturers and small businesses. Announcing the decision at a press briefing in Abuja after committee's 302nd meeting, CBN Governor Olayemi Cardoso said all 12 members voted in favor of the 50 basic point cut from 27.5%. The committee also adjusted the standing facilities corridor to plus 250 minus 250 basic points, raised the cash reverse requirements to commercial banks to 45%, while retaining merchant banks at 16% and introduced a 75% CRR on non-TCTSA public sector deposits. The liquidity ratio was left unchanged at 30%. Cardozo explained that the decision was underpinned by the sustained disinflation recorded in the past 5 months, projection of declining inflation for the rest of 2025, and the need to support economic recovery efforts. The MPC noted that the headline inflation slowed to 20.12% in August and from 21.88% in July. Food inflation fell to 21.87% from 22.74%, while core inflation eased to 20.33% from 21.33%. On a month-to-month basis, inflation dropped sharply to 0.74% in August compared to 1.99% in July. For more detail of this story, check the Punch newspaper with the headline CBN lowers interest rates, OPS demand credit relief.
Yes, and still on the Punch newspaper talking 2027, Rep urges Atiku Obi to step down for Tinubu. And now the details. Members representing Agege Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives, Dr. Wale Ahmed, has told critics of President Bola Tinubu to shelve any plans of challenging him in the 2027 elections, insisting that a second term for the president is guaranteed. This comes despite opposition parties, including the People's Democratic Party, African Democratic Congress, Labour Party, and New Nigerian People's Party, vowing to unseat Tinubu in the next general election. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, ex-Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi, an ADC coalition led by former Senate President David Mark, has been at the forefront of criticizing the Tinubu's administration. Speaking at a stakeholder briefing held at the Agege Local Government Secretariat, Ahmed argued that since late President Muhammad Buhari from the north was allowed to complete 2 terms, it was fair that Tinubu from the south completes 2 terms too. He also held that the president's bold reforms and foreign engagement had earned Nigerian international respect and laid the foundation for long-term economic recovery. For more details on that story, see the Punch newspaper with the headline, Rep urged Atiku Obi to step down for Tinubu.
Still taking story from the Punch newspaper, where we have 411% revenue rise won't stop federal government borrowing, says FIRS. Now to the detail of the story. The executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, SAC, Adedeji, said the federal government will continue to borrow despite its significant revenue inflow in recent months. He argued that borrowing is not a sign of weakness but a part of the country border's economic strategy. Adedeji also revealed that the federal revenue collection surged to 3.64 trillion naira in September 2025, a 411% jump from 711 billion naira in May 2023. He said, and I quote, "Borrowing is not a problem. Is borrowing not part of the budget we submitted to the National Assembly, and was it not approved? Are we borrowing aside what we approved?" Adedeji told the State House correspondent during the latest session of the meeting press series organized by the Presidential Communication Team at the Azo Villa in Abuja. His comment comes barely 2 months after President Bola Tinubu in July requested a $21.5 billion external loan, including a $2 billion foreign currency bond and a 757.98 billion naira bond to settle pension liabilities under the contributory pension scheme. 3 weeks earlier, on September 22nd, Tinubu declared that the Nigerian had met its revenue target for 2025 ahead of schedule and will no longer rely on borrowing to fund its budget. However, the administration has been heavily criticized for excessive borrowing. For more detail of this story, check the Punch newspaper with the headline, 411 revenue rise won't stop federal government borrowing, says Federal Inland Revenue boss.
So on the Punch newspaper, federal government JV stake sale could bankrupt NNPCL, Pengasan and Nupeng warn. And now the detail. The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, as well as the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, have rejected announced plans by the federal government to divert significant stakes in joint venture assets managed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. The two unions warned that the move to allegedly amend the Petroleum Industry Act and remove the running of oil and gas from the NNPCL could endanger the country's economic stability, weaken its oil industry, and jeopardize the welfare of workers. They stated that the policies are dangerous and capable of bankrupting the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. The oil workers urged President Bola Tinubu to intervene and alter the plan. Addressing a joint briefing in Abuja recently, Pengasan President Comrade Festus Oshifo, alongside his Nupeng counterpart Williams Akporeha, said the proposed sale would not only undermine national revenue but also mortgage the future of coming generations. The oil workers argued that the government's plan to cut its stake in JV assets, currently between 55 and 60%, by as much as 30 and 35% for quick cash, was short-sighted and dangerous. For more details on that story, see the Punch newspaper with the headline, Federal Government JV Stake Sale Could Bankrupt NNPCL, Pengassan Nupeng 1.
And if you are just joining, you are listening to In the Papers, a newspaper review program on iPower 102.7 FM. This is a program where we bring to you stories from different newspapers in Nigeria and beyond. You can also connect with us by sharing your perspective, your opinion about the topic of the headline or story so far on 081 65 524 081 65 524 Moving on with another story coming from the Daily Post newspaper, where I have 2027 NNPP clarifies core council stance on defecting to APC. Now to the story. The national chairman of the new Nigerian People's Party, NNPP, Juji Ahmed, says the party's presidential candidate in the 2023 general election, Rabiu Kwakwanso, is not defecting to the ruling party. Ahmed made this statement on Tuesday while responding to questions in an interview on Primetime, a program on Arrest Television. He said the NNPP is rather open to coalition. He said, and I quote, "I don't think so. I don't think we have indicated in any way that is defecting or about to defect. NNPP has a long-standing position that we have option. One of the options is probably that we revert to. The other option is to go into coalition with any other party that has the same philosophy and objective that we have and join them. The party or third option is for us to do it alone by ourselves. So these options are still on the table. However, to clarify that what Kwankwaso said in Canon, he only explained one of the three options. Kwankwaso only said that if APC invite his attention, he will give them the attention on the condition that they offer a concrete guarantee that the interests of his party member will be taken care of instead of just being him or talked to. Ahmed said this while talking to the newsman. For more detail of the story, check the Daily Post newspaper with the headline 2027 NNPP clarifies Kwankwaso's stance on defecting to APC.
Still on the Punch newspaper, federal government empowers 25 maize farmers in Edo to boost food security. The federal government has empowered 25 maize farmers in Edo State with inputs, herbicides, and sprayers in a bid to boost food security in Nigeria. The initiative, carried out recently by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, targeted beneficiaries drawn from the 18 local government areas of the state. Farmers were trained on modern maize cultivation techniques, seed varieties, herbicides application, storage, and marketing, among other topics. Speaking at the event, Patricia Imade, Edo State Coordinator for the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, said the program aligns with President Bola Tinubu's deliberate efforts to enhance food production, particularly maize. Imade explained that the training follows a train-the-trainers model, meaning the beneficiaries will replicate the lesson in their local government and communities, eventually reaching hundreds of thousands of maize farmers across the state. She added that the distribution of hybrid, certified, and forfeited maize inputs is designed to boost yields per hectare compared to previous harvest. For more details on this story, the Punch newspaper has it with the headline, Federal Government Empowers 25 Maize Farmers in Edo to Boost Food Security.
Moving straight to another story coming from Ogun State, where I have this story coming from the Nation newspaper, where I have I want to succeed Governor Abiodun says. Amuson. Now to the story. A former federal lawmaker Jelili Kayode Amuson said that he is aspiring to succeed Governor Dakbo Abiodun of Ogun State in 2027 election. Amuson, who represented Abeokuta North, Odeda Obafemi Owode Federal Constituency between 2003 and 2011, said that his rich political experience and business acumen have sufficiently prepared him to succeed Abiodun and sustain his social, economic, and infrastructural development program. The real estate magnate disclosed this on Wednesday in a statement signed by his media aid office in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. The ex-rep member noted that as a member of the ruling party, he is imbued with progressive ideals capable of taking Ogun to a higher pedestal and building the success recorded by the incumbent governor. Amusa said the governor Abiodun's sterling performance since he assumed office in 2009 has no doubt endearing the people more to APC as a party in the state, adding that his aspiration was supported by his passion for public services and enduring good governance. For more detail of the story, check the Nation newspaper with the headline, I want to succeed Governor Abiodun says. Amuson.
Still on the Punch newspaper, Nigeria, Dalil UAE still due to transform airport cargo operations. And now the detail. The federal government, through the Ministry of Aviation, has signed the landmark agreement with Dalil UAE to transform cargo operations and strengthen aviation security across airports. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Kiyamo, who signed on behalf of the federal government, described the agreement as a bold step towards repositioning Nigeria as leading aviation and logistics hub in Africa. This was announced through a statement signed by the head of press and public affairs of the ministry, Oduntayo Oluseyi. Dalil UAE explained that a key highlight of the deal was the demonstration of our early detection and risk profiling of high-risk cargo can significantly strengthen aviation security while ensuring seamless cargo clearance. For more details on that story, the Punch newspaper has it with the headline, Nigeria Dalil UAE seal deal to transform airport cargo operations.
And let me join you shortly on the Punch newspaper as well. We have Madugu credit Falcons NFF for Ballon d'Or honor. Now to the detail of the story. Despite missing out on the top prize for the Women Coach of the Year at the 2025 Ballon d'Or ceremony, which was held in Paris on Monday, Super Falcon coach Justin Madugu cherishes the feat of being the first African to make the list, dedicating it to Super Falcon players and the Nigerian Football Federation. Madugu was named to contend with England's Seren Weigman, Arsenal's women coach Dutch coach Renan Schlegel, Chelsea women's French coach Sonia Bonpasto, and Spain Arthur Elia for the second edition of the Women's John and Cruyff Trophy at this year's Ballon d'Or. England coach Weigman, 55-year-old, won the award after guiding the Lioness to the second successive European Championship title in Switzerland during the summer. She won ahead of others and Madugu, who also led the Super Falcons to historic 10 WAFCON title in Morocco this year. He said, and I quote, there must be some yardstick they use to access everybody at that level, and we must appreciate those who have given us the opportunity to showcase what we can do, those who believe in us at the Federation, the players who made it possible. With the knowledge you have in your head, if you don't have people who can translate it, it will amount to nothing. So crediting it to them for what we have achieved. Magudu was named the best coach at the WAFCON in July. He took over the team in 2024, leading them to a series of friendly matches before recording success in Morocco. For more detail of this story, check the Punch newspaper with the headline, Madugu Credit Falcons NFF for Ballon d'Or honor.
Moving to the Nation newspaper, National Assembly shifts resumption to October 7th. And now the details. The Senate and House of Representatives have recently shifted their resumption to Tuesday, October 7th. Both chambers on July 24th adjourned plenary till Tuesday, September 23rd, to enable lawmakers observe a 2-month annual vacation. However, the clerk of the National Assembly, Kamoru Ogunlano, in a statement said the lawmaker would resume on October 7th. The statement titled, and I quote, "Reschedule of resumption date for plenary activities in the National Assembly," reads, "I am directed by the presiding officer of both chambers of the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to inform all members of the general public that the resumption date of the National Assembly, earlier scheduled for Tuesday, 23rd September 2025, is postponed to Tuesday, 7th October 2025. However, committee activities continue. All distinguished senators and honorable members are requested to take note of the new date and adjust their schedules accordingly. Any inconveniences caused by the rescheduling is deeply regretted. For more details on that story, see the Nation newspaper with the headline, "National Assembly Shift Resumption to October 7th."
Well, you're still onto in the papers, the newspaper review program on iPower 102.7 FM, Emurele, Owo, Ondo State. I'll be giving you stories from various newspapers, from the Punch newspaper, from the Daily Post newspapers, the Nation newspaper, the Hope newspaper, and the Daily Trust newspaper. So far for today, we'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll give you the recap of the story read so far for today. Welcome back, welcome back. You are still on to In the Papers, a newspaper review program on iPower 102.7 FM. You can connect with us via our YouTube by searching for iPower 102.7 FM or connect with us via our number by calling in to share your perspective, your opinion about the stories read so far on 081-655-24699, 081-655-24699. Starting from the Punch newspaper, we brought to you a story from the Punch newspaper saying Pegasus Nopeng reject government plan to sell assets.
And I started from the old newspaper, Ondo constitutes task force to arrest truant students.
And we move swiftly to the Daily Post newspaper, where we brought a story coming from the Daily Post newspaper through your hair that Ekiti State Governor, I have confidence in APC Election Committee, says Governor Oyebanji.
And on the old newspaper, we said CAC to deploy AI to clear 7,000 application backlogs.
And we move straightly to the Daily Post newspaper, where we brought a story coming from Kwakwanso as well to your air. We have 2027. NNPP clarifies Kwakwanso's stance on defecting to APC.
And I took a flight to the Punch newspaper where we told you that Ekiti Governor has approved 596 million naira car house loan for teachers.
And we move straightly to the Punch newspaper, where we brought a story about strike. We have strike, Sano Nasu extend ultimatum from the Punch newspaper.
We told you still on the Punch newspaper that join the army to serve Nigerian Osun APC government aspirant as urged youths.
And we move straightly to the Daily Post newspaper, where we brought a story from the Daily Post about the government now gave terrorist bandits celebrity treatment, says Dalong.
Well, still on the Punch newspaper, talking Olubadan coronation, We told you that Oyo has announced road closures.
In the course of the reading out from the newspaper, we brought story from the Nation newspaper where we brought Ogun Fort Daniels 260-meter road project design.
Back to the Old newspaper where we told you that Natasha has resumed office after suspension.
And we move straightly to the Punch newspaper where we read that CBN cut interest rates, OPS seek further credit relief.
We told you on the Punch newspaper that RAP has urged Atiku Obi to step down for Tinubu.
Still talking about story coming from the Punch newspaper, we brought to you that Nigerians revenue saw 411%, but borrowing continues, says Federal Inland Revenue Service.
We told you on the Punch newspaper that federal government has empowered 25 maize farmers in Edo to boost food security.
And we move straightly to the Daily Post newspaper where we brought to you that 2027 NNPP clarifies Kwakwaso's stance on defecting to APC.
We told you on the Punch newspaper that Nigeria, Dalil UAE has sealed deals to transform airport cargo operations.
And we move shortly to the Nation newspaper where we brought to you that a story coming from Ogun State. I want to succeed Governor Abiodun, says Amuson.
We moved to the Nation newspaper where we informed you that the National Assembly has shifted resumptions to October 7th.
And lastly, from my side, where we brought a story from the Punch newspaper, we brought to you that Madugu, honored by Ballon d'Or nomination, Credit Falcon, NFF honor.
And with that, we've come to the end of today's edition of In the Papers. We have taken you through the major headlines from newspapers within and outside Nigeria. We also hope that this review has kept you informed on key issues shaping conversations today. On behalf of myself and my colleague
ABDULRASAQ ALAWAYE,
thank you for joining us. Until next time, have a productive and pleasant day.
good morning to you.
Good morning.